Welcome to Cheques and Balances. I'm Vincent, this is Blair, and today's topic, how to talk to your partner about money.
Great, so as we said, Mike, we're going to open this up to a much wider range of topics than just asset allocation, investment property, how to manage your mortgage. Because at the end of the day, money is essentially fund tokens, right?
Yeah.
And you want to get out there, you want to enjoy yourself once you grow your wealth. But if you can't talk to your partner about money, and if you're not on the same page, it's probably not going to end that well, is it?
Absolutely. Politics and finance, right? The two things that people are awkward to talk about. No, I think that quite often we see customers coming in and, either they have very different ideas about money itself, or they just have different ideas about communication, and sometimes they actually feel embarrassed to talk about it. As we go through the meetings and through the process and interviewing customers, sometimes you learn some truths about things. Some people might be hiding, credit card debts somewhere and things like that. And, it's always good just to front foot these topics straight off the bat.
Why do you think, in your experience, Mike, why do you think they hide it?
I think it's embarrassment. A lot of people learn about managing money earlier on. They don't think it's such a taboo subject to talk about. For them, it's an easy thing. Whereas on the flip side, some people either aren't good at managing their money, they've racked up, credit card debt, personal loans, something like that they might be hiding from people, and they don't want to seem like, they're not on an equal footing as their partner, or that they're the loser in the relationship.
Yeah, a lot of it's been built up in their head, right? That opposed to just getting it out there, and it's going to be awkward, it's going to be tough to talk about. But as we spoke about in the first episode, money is a taboo subject in New Zealand, and it's a taboo subject in the household as well. I will sit down with a couple and go, all right, what do you want for your future? What would you like to do? And it's crazy how often that conversation hasn't happened at all.
Yeah.
And then the spread in what they want is sometimes, they're miles apart between early retirement, helping the kids, not helping the kids, all of those different bits and pieces.
Staying working, going on holiday, we see that quite a bit. But, I think for couples to succeed, when they're talking about money, you need to embrace the awkwardness, because that's really the first hurdle to actually solving these problems. Yeah.
100%, Mike. I think you just need to treat it like you're dating for the first time. So when you think about when you're dating, it's a little bit awkward. It's a conversation that doesn't run as smoothly, and that can be tricky when you've been with somebody for a long time. Yeah. But it's just about getting it out there and embracing it and finding your way as you go when you know what each other are thinking when it comes to money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the important thing to remember is the sooner you have these conversations, the better. It's no point in leaving these conversations till you need the money, you're doing the mortgage application, you're sitting in front of the financial advisor. And yes, you can have these conversations then, but quite often it's too late, or it's going to hinder you from getting what you want, whether that's a mortgage, investment, something like that as well.
And I think it's really important to acknowledge that if you find this tricky, the reason we're talking about it is it's a very tricky topic to have, and a lot of couples have challenges with it. So a couple of stats for you, Mike. Our second episode, I might nickname myself Statman if that's okay with you. So the first one is that 1 in 5 Kiwis, and this is exactly why we're doing the podcast, do not talk to anybody about their finances. They don't talk to their partner, they don't talk to their parents. So it's a big reason why we're doing these podcasts now once a week instead of once a fortnight, because we had so much fun doing the first one. And the second stat, which is really interesting, but also no surprise, is 30% of couples find money a point of contention.
Yeah, and that's often due to the different attitudes that people have towards money. Like we sort of said, some people will be spenders, some people will be savers, some people will inherently want to go on holiday more, some people want to, put money away for retirement and these sorts of things, right? But that doesn't mean you can't work together and set some common goals. And I think, setting, common goals and budgeting and these sorts of things, really helpful.
Yeah, I think embracing different personalities, not just when it comes to, because money is an input to create the output, which is the lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging that, it's pretty rare that you got two savers that work together.
Yeah.
I certainly see two spenders where there's quite a bit of work. Neither pulling each other in can be a little bit tricky. But usually one person in the couple will engage the relationship with whether the bank or the financial advisor, and then we'll also always encourage both people to get involved because it's really important that everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, and as a financial advisor, when couples do come to you, and let's say either they are both spenders or one is a saver and one is a spender, what are some of the key things that you try to talk to them about or get them to do to try and marry those two differences in opinions up or get them on the right track?
I think there's nothing wrong with saying that buying a new pair of shoes or going on a holiday is much more fun than planning for retirement. Like nobody's going to argue with that, right?
Absolutely.
So when people spend money in the short term, what they're really seeing is, I like to think about it as a little bit of a tug of war. So between current you and future you, and you've got to try and find that balance. If you're spending all of your money now, you're not thinking about future you.
Yeah.
And that's usually what a lot of relationships will struggle with, is one person is thinking about their future self, making sure they're sustainable, while the other person is just, they're having a lot of fun, which is, I mean, I'd love to say there's nothing wrong with that, but it's about finding the balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you do find the balance, that's when you can really work to sort of make those long-term goals a reality, but also enjoy life at the present time, right? And like we sort of say, budgeting is not about just saving, not having any fun, never going out or anything like that. When you've got a proper budget in place, that's when actually you can do those things and not feel guilty about it. Not wake up and think, why did I spend that money? I've for lack of a better term, lost that tug of war again.
Yeah.
When you've got that budget in place, it makes the spending you're doing more fun, and you get to save for the retirement or achieve those long-term goals that you want.
Yeah, and I've got a couple that I've been working with recently, Sarah and Jane. And Sarah is she's the one who's very conscious about planning for the future, paying down the mortgage.
Yeah.
While Jane's kind of going, I'm sick of living off rice and beans. I want to start to have some fun. I want to go on some holidays. I'd love to get a dog. We don't have a dog. I'd like to move into a bigger house.
Yeah,
and
I like her. She sounds cool.
Who doesn't like a dog? I've got a pug. You know how much I love Harry. So when you think about the finding the balance between two people who prioritize, as you mentioned, it's about going, well, what are the common goals? What are both important to you?
Yeah.
And then they started talking about, well, we both love a dog. We both like to upgrade our house. We both like to stop working before 65 or feel. And then when you start to break down and go, well, why are those goals important to you?
Yeah.
That's when you'll become more willing to sacrifice the short-term, impulse purchases.
Yeah. No, fair enough. And I think that, when I see customers on my side of the business as well, what we're trying to do is implement those goals, right? We're trying to get you that asset or purchase that house for you or do these sorts of things. And like I said before, that's when you really need to be on the same page, because if one person's not into it or they haven't bought in, it's a very stressful process for everyone, and it almost exaggerates the problem about talking about the money. Someone gets burned, they put the walls up, they don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, and if you don't do it the right way, what'll happen is, which I've seen time and time again, is things will happen in the background. Money will be pulled from an ATM, without, separate bank accounts, all of those kind of things. So once again, if we kind of bring it back to the basics, embracing the awkwardness, talking through it, setting those goals, acknowledging different personalities, and then when it comes to budgeting to achieve those goals, what are some thoughts you have there?
Well, I guess, like I said before, it's just working together. You need to have that the end goal in sight, and then you need to do the math backwards from there and work out what you can reasonably afford, how you want to live your life, and what is the time frame to doing that. Because we could all save more and get things sooner, but what it comes down to is what do we actually want to do and how do we want to live our lives?
Yeah. Just get it out there. Just start the conversation. Embrace it'll be a little bit messy. But you'll have that voice in the back of your head that goes, oh, it's a Tuesday night. I don't want to do this. I just want to relax. But get it out there and just see where it flows from there.
Cool. Great. I think that's us for today.
Great. We'll see you again in a week's time where we'll bring up another topic. And of course, if you've got any ideas about what you'd like us to talk about, please send through the ideas.
Cool. Thanks.